My name is Ariana, and I am a student at Texas State University. Today, I am going to talk to you about complementary feeding. It is a very fun and exciting process that you will go through with an infant, and it is a very crucial to their developmental stages, and what you do now can follow them into adulthood. So today, myself and Gabby is going to go over some very important information to make you feel more comfortable, before you head into that process, but also just to give you some really awesome tips to help you out and make this process go a lot smoother. So you're probably wondering, what exactly is complementary feeding? Basically, it is a process where you introduce new foods into your infant's life because breast milk alone is no longer able to meet all of their nutrient and caloric needs. So now that you know what it is, we're going to talk about a couple things that you should do and look out for in the process. So we're going to discuss the age and readiness that your infant will show right before you're about to start this process. The next thing we'll talk about is nutrient and energy needs at different stages in the infancy life. And lastly, we will also discuss introduction to allergenic foods and also just give you some extra tips to make the process more easy and successful. When beginning the complementary feeding stage, it is important to make sure that your infant is ready. There are a couple things that you can look out for, such as their ability to stick their tongue out cognitively, and also be able to sit up on their own and without your support. So once you notice those two things, it's important to just watch out for gagging, just to make sure that you're not introducing tougher consistencies too fast. So first, it will be best to start off with pureed foods right around 6 months, so anything like baby food. And then once they reach 8 months, they're gonna have teeth, usually big grind teeth, between the 6 to 8 month range, and then they will be able to bite down some foods. So then you could switch to lumpy items like oatmeal or even infant cereal. And then lastly, once they finally reach the age of at least 13 months, you can start introducing more solid foods and items. But like I said, it's important to always pay attention to gagging and not move too quickly during this process.
Hi, my name's Gabby, and I'd like to take you further in depth to the world of complementary feeding. It is important to meet your baby's caloric and nutrient needs as they change during this time. Let's go into depth about those changes. From 4 to 6 months, your baby will need about 108 kcal per kilogram, or about 490 calories per day. However, calories are only a part of adequately feeding your baby. They will also require a certain amount of key nutrients, so let's talk about that as well. Protein needs from 0 to 6 months are 2.2 grams per kilogram. However, at 7 to 12 months, that changes to 1.6 grams per kilogram, or about 13 grams a day. From 0 to 6 months, your baby will need 60 grams per day of carbohydrates, and that increases to 95 grams per day at 7 to 12 months. Iron needs at 0 to 6 months are only 0.27 milligrams per day, but they increase to 11 milligrams per day at 7 to 12 months. Fats consumed by your baby should be less than 10% of calories from saturated fats. It is also important to note that there should be no added sugar in your baby's diet at this time. Now, let's talk about allergenic foods. Introducing these foods can be a little frightening to parents. However, there are do's and don'ts, much like every other aspect of complementary feeding. Before we get into those, let's become familiar with the top 8 food allergens. This includes milk, eggs, fish, shellfish, soy, wheat, peanuts, and tree nuts. Although you may have previously heard that you should put off exposing your baby to these foods, more and more studies show that you should not delay the introduction of allergenic foods into your baby's diet. This may increase your baby's chances of developing food allergies. Instead, introduce these foods no later than 6 months, however, no earlier than 4 months. Another thing to take note of is it is important to never expose your baby's skin to these foods before they have been fed to them. Now that you've learned so much about complementary feeding, it is important to remember, do not become discouraged or frustrated during this process. Remain patient, as complementary feeding is done through trial and error and does not go perfectly for any parents, whether they're experienced or not. We hope this video was encouraging, informative, and eased your mind about the process of beginning complementary feeding.